Under the cover of darkness, a candle flickered in a secret room. The only sound, pencil scratching on paper, and hushed whispers. Just outside their door, Rafael Trujillo, the iron-fisted dictator, held the Dominican Republic in a stranglehold of fear. But inside this room, 4 sisters, known as the Mirabal Sisters, were plotting a rebellion. Living in a society stuck in the 1940s, where women were expected to be just good housewives, these sisters shattered expectations. They were Minerva, María Teresa, Patria, and Dede, 4 women bound by blood and united in a perilous quest for justice. Welcome back to a new episode of HerStory, Unforgettable Women. Today you'll explore the story of 4 sisters who broke the rules and defied a dictatorship, the Mirabal Sisters. The 1940s Dominican Republic was a stage where women were expected to play roles as good housewives, finding their worth in domestic accomplishments. However, the Mirabal sisters, Patria, Minerva, María Teresa, and Dede, dared to deviate from the script. 3 of these remarkable women, Patria, Minerva, and María Teresa, chose the path of higher education, pursuing fields like law, education, and engineering. Dede, the remaining sister, assumed the responsibility of managing the family business. This was no small feat in a society that measured a woman's success by her household skills. Each sister, in her unique capacity, began breaking down the walls of traditional expectation, setting the stage for their revolutionary roles to come. Their early life was a clear signal of greater disruptions awaiting the Dominican Republic, defying a world that sought to confine them. Minerva Mirabal, a firebrand among her sisters, decided to attend law school, a rare endeavor for women of her time. Her pursuit in legal studies was not just academic, but also deeply personal. Minerva harbored anti-Trujillo sentiments, fueled by the cruelty and oppression she witnessed. These feelings reached a boiling point at a party where Rafael Trujillo himself was present. Encountering harassment from the dictator, Minerva defied the expectations of submissiveness and slapped him. This audacious act was a metaphorical slap on the regime's face, and it had severe repercussions. Following the episode, Minerva found herself expelled from her classrooms. It was a period in her second year of study when the doors started closing on her. Her aspirations were further dashed when, after completing her law degree, the government refused to grant her a license to practice, offering no explanation. The arbitrary barriers aimed to stifle her, but Minerva's spirit remained unbroken. She became a symbol of resistance, paving the way for her and her sister's more direct involvement in the fight against the dictator. The ordeal began when Trujillo's men forcibly took Minerva's father from their home in Ojo de Agua. He was subjected to physical torture in prison, targeted for his daughter's rebellious activities. This gut-wrenching experience severely impacted his health, leading to his death shortly after his release. The family was not given time to grieve. Minerva and her mother were abruptly kidnapped during a visit to Santo Domingo. Trapped in a room, they faced Trujillo, who arrogantly declared that their freedom would only be granted if Minerva complied with his sexual demands. Such vile acts exposed the lengths to which Trujillo would go to maintain his power and humiliate those who opposed him. The intimate details of these ordeals were meticulously kept secret by the family, but served as a catalyst for the sisters, making their quest to overthrow Trujillo not just a political mission, but a deeply personal vendetta. Enough was enough. Galvanized by the relentless abuse and abductions, the sisters made a collective decision to put an end to the oppressive regime. They formed an underground group known as the June 14th Association, named after the date of a massacre led by Trujillo. The association became a beacon for the dissatisfied and disillusioned, pooling resources to fight against the dictatorship. The Mirabal sisters went beyond mere talk. They distributed pamphlets detailing Trujillo's atrocities and plotted with other revolutionary factions. With clandestine meetings and coded messages, they fought to keep their operation a secret while spreading the truth far and wide. They smuggled weapons and provided safe houses for fellow rebels, risking everything to draw attention to Trujillo's abuses. Operating under the code name Las Mariposas, the sisters became a symbol of resistance. They used their positions within society to to give a voice to the silenced and restore the notion of democracy in the Dominican Republic. Their efforts were a crucial part of the underground movement that aimed to topple Trujillo from power. The Mirabal Sisters set out to dismantle the oppressive regime of Trujillo. The moniker was more than just a disguise. It symbolized a duality of grace and strength. Their operations ranged from distributing anti-Trujillo pamphlets to gathering intel for opposition groups. To protect their identity, they used a series of safe houses and communicated through coded letters. Their resourcefulness became evident when they transformed their perfumes into invisible ink. These were not just symbolic acts, but tactical maneuvers designed to bring attention to Trujillo's abuses. Multiple arrests didn't deter them. Instead, it highlighted their willingness to face extreme measures. Torture was a known risk, one that they were willing to take. Minerva and María Teresa, along with their husbands, were imprisoned and their properties seized as a result. Still, they pressed on, all under the moniker of Las Mariposas, each act of rebellion amplifying their legend and inspiring countless others in their fight for justice. The toll of resisting a dictatorship is never just ideological. It seeps into every crevice of daily life. For the Mirabal sisters, the cost was both personal and tangible. Minerva, María Teresa, and their husbands faced multiple arrests. They were taken away in the dead of night, separated from their children, and thrown into dank cells. Interrogations and imprisonment became an almost routine part of their lives, disrupting the family structure and leaving scars that would never heal. Beyond the emotional and physical burden, their rebellion had a financial price as well. The government seized their assets, from their houses to their land, crippling the economic stability they once enjoyed. Their livestock was taken, and their fields lay fallow, a quiet protest against the tyrant who sought to break them. This wasn't just about the sisters. The whole family was splintered. Dedé, who had primarily stayed away from direct involvement with the resistance, found herself as the de facto caretaker of the next generation. The children were left to grapple with the absence of their parents, forever changed by the choices of the women who birthed them. On the fateful night of November 25, 1960, Minerva, María Teresa, and their driver, Rufino de la Cruz, were stopped by Trujillo's henchmen. Returning from a visit to their imprisoned husbands, the sisters had no idea that this journey would be their last. They were led to a remote sugarcane field, strangled, and then clubbed to death. Their lifeless bodies were placed back into their jeep, which was pushed off a cliff to simulate a car accident. Trujillo's aim was clear: to eliminate the sisters and disguise their murder as a tragic mishap, a scheme to quash any suspicion of his direct involvement. But the brutality of their deaths and the thinly veiled attempt to cover it up only stoked the fires of resistance. Far from erasing their impact, the regime's ruthless act amplified the call to overthrow the dictator. It was a desperate, miscalculated move that eventually led to Trujillo's own downfall. The calculated murder of the Mirabal sisters became a rallying point that galvanized opposition against Trujillo's regime. Their deaths, rather than quelling resistance, invigorated a revolutionary spirit that swept through the Dominican Republic. Ordinary citizens, once fearful and subdued, found newfound courage to speak out and act. Underground movements became more audacious, and international condemnation of the Trujillo regime escalated. 6 months after the tragic deaths of the sisters, Trujillo himself met a violent end. On May 30th, 1961, he was ambushed and assassinated in his car, a fitting demise that echoed the sisters' own staged car accident. The downfall of the dictator could in part be traced back to his fatal error and underestimating the power and influence of the Mirabal sisters. Their legacy was a crucial catalyst that helped dismantle a dictatorship and restore democracy to the nation. The tale of the Mirabal sisters leaves an indelible mark on the pages of history. Their fearless fight not only shattered the oppressive chains of the Dominican Republic, but also laid down a milestone in global movements against tyranny. Keep the conversation going and share this video to keep the memory and message of the Mirabal sisters alive. Thank you for watching HerStory, Unforgettable Women.